Hi, everybody. Thanks for the time, AWS. We appreciate that. My name is Kevin Stinson. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer for Apollo Enterprise Imaging. So, the first question, what do we mean by the journey from enterprise imaging to patient-centric care? Let me ask a question. Walking around today, how many have seen signs or have any understanding at all of enterprise imaging? Right? If you look, almost everybody who's showing some sort of medical imaging has enterprise imaging somewhere on their booth. What we're looking at is how can you make those images centric to the patient rather than centric to the department? Because having everything tied into a single record makes a whole lot more sense when it comes to treating the patient primary and then secondary patient for like tumor boards and things like that. So, who's Apollo? Apollo has been around for 30 years, and we started in telepathology in 1993. And we grew from a pathology basis into a full enterprise solution over the course of about 20 years. And what I mean by full enterprise is no matter what format, no matter what department, we can both ingest it, archive it, and then additionally view it, all on a single pane of glass. So we're an image management solution that has universal viewing. And what we identify as enterprise imaging or multidisciplinary patient care falls more along the lines of a third leg, which archiving and viewing is the VNA strategy, right? And VNA morphed into enterprise imaging. When you're looking at what that really means, though, that third leg of the stool is acquisition. How are we getting those images? Where are they coming from? Do we have to rely on a third system in order to get those into our system? So over the course of time, what we've done is built all kinds of interfaces, over 126 interface types with devices across the medical spectrum, which are putting out JPEGs, MP4s, PDFs, and we've created a viewer and an archive that takes all of those in their native format and makes them centric to the patient. Why? Why is this important? Because in today's healthcare, you rarely ever see one physician. You have a referring provider who then sends you off to see a specialist who might send you to see another specialist. And guess what? They don't talk a lot. I can tell you just recently from firsthand experience, they don't talk at all. Because right now, one of them's saying I should do this, and another one's saying I should do that. And when I ask either of them for a diagnosis, neither one of them wants to tell me what it is. So they want to treat something based on what they know rather than treat something based on a patient-centric approach, which is what's the problem going on with Kevin or Tom or Dan or CJ, right? So that's what we're talking about when we're talking about patient-centric care. Removing silos brings us away from that centric to the department and moves it into centric to the patient. Additional to that, we don't care format. We don't care department. So if you send us a DICOM image, we say thank you. We can archive it, store it, view it, connect it to the EHR. Lots of folks can do that. From there, we also do that with every other department in the hospital. Right now, about 45 different departments are generating images. We're collecting those images patient-centric. So when you'll see the demo in just a minute, you'll understand what I mean by patient-centric. So rather than searching for it in radiology, I need the images for Michael Cole, for example. You would be able to log into the EHR, pull up Michael Cole as your patient. There's a URL link there, and everything that's been acquired for Michael Cole is then accessible to you, launching our system in the background. So now you're focused on what's going on with the patient. We can do this for orders-based, think radiology, cardiology. We can also do this for encounters-based medicine or evidence-based medicine, such as point-of-care ultrasound, anything that is coming off of a scope, anything that's coming off of a digital camera, or anything that's coming off of a recorder, a video recorder. So you can do MP4s, JPEGs of all different types, AVIs. It doesn't matter. And that integration point that makes the difference is how we acquire versus how we archive. And that's how you start to get to the patient-centric. Real quick, this is what it looks like. We're here. We're managing the flow of information as it comes from the ordering system, as it comes to the viewing system. So we're managing that flow of information and then sending it, in this instance, off to the AWS cloud to be stored. So all of that's being managed. Then you're connected to your document management solution. You're connected to your EHR, bi-directional communication, which allows for all of these different device types from all of these different departments to create a single view of the patient with a single pane of glass. So now I have everything that I need to make informed decisions from the patient, not from the department. And that makes a huge difference because I can now see what's going on with everything that this patient is experiencing rather than one thing that the patient is experiencing. In our collaboration with AWS, you can store your compute into, or you can put your compute into the EC2, storage in S3, and now also into the AWS Health Imaging. So lots of options for how you're storing your data, whether it's DICOM, non-DICOM, but in the front end, it's a seamless workflow from the patient perspective all the way through to viewing that patient, making informed care decisions. What does this really mean? So if you're focusing on the patient, it's a single pane of glass. It's a visual navigation. All of the things that benefit and accrue to that. Just imagine I have one place to see everything about my patient. So now I have informed decisions that come across multidisciplinary platform versus single department solutions where every different provider is making a different decision for your care based on what's in front of them. We're putting everything in front of you from that single pane of glass. And I'm going to turn the time over to Tom Coppa, our Chief Product Officer at Apollo, and he's actually going to show a demo of everything I just talked about. He's going to show you what it looks like.
All right, thank you, Kevin. I don't know, is the microphone on? Oh, it's on. All right, well, let's take a quick look at the solution. We have some of the data live in the environment right now. I think a lot of you will recognize the story we just told was a story about a patient being able to take a look at the entire timeline. Right? We don't use that word too often, but that is really what's going on here. So the documentation that is being created throughout the history of that patient in that care center, in that hospital system, maybe working between specialists and even working from the beginning here. In this case, we actually have a patient whose diagnosis is a brain tumor. Now, as difficult as that is to both diagnose and to deal with, there's a lot of documentation in the system. The key things about being able to use a system like this is being able to have that quick access to the imaging, a quick storyline, and in that storyline, having the tools that you need to do things like actually look at the radiology. But at the same time, the whole process with this patient was to have a radiologist diagnose them, to actually be put under the knife, to have the operation that was necessary in order to remove the tumor. So a quick note here, blood the whole time. But this is an important aspect. This is also an educational and a research aspect. So the use of the solution, the use of the data that's being created goes beyond not only helping to treat the patient, but also helping to coordinate the care among the caregivers for that patient. And here is a case where we have the pathology slide. So the pathology slide now is available to us. We've taken the tumor out, or you're going to see in just a moment. You're going to see the entirety of the tumor come out. But this is key documentation for the overall treatment of that patient. And there's more. The system is designed to allow you to continue. Think about the idea of a tumor board. Think about the idea that we're going to discuss this patient and the success with this patient, that we may be viewing some reports, that we also may be looking at the imaging that was created as a result of some of the reviews of the data about that patient. And we are also taking a look at, for example, some of the key surgical pieces in that. So we're continuing to build the story, and in building that story, if and where it's appropriate, we might focus in on a particular object. We might focus in on the video. We might bring these pieces of information central to the way that we are navigating and talking about the patient. And this is what we talk about when we talk about a single pane of glass. This is what we talk about when we talk about the specialties being able to be brought front and center to the display. So here's a case where I'll bring the radiology front and center to the display. Here's also a case where through the EMR, through the EHR, I might be brought to another patient, and in being brought to another patient, I might want to display additional information about that patient so I can navigate very quickly to that patient. I can also navigate to the existing data for the patient that we are at. So one of the key things here is that it is a convergence of all of the technologies. It is a convergence of DICOM and non-DICOM. It is a convergence of tool sets for analyzing information, and it is a convergence towards things like tumor boards and coordination of care and continuity of care. A lot of the things that we are judged on as a health system in terms of the quality of care that is being delivered. Ultimately, all of this for this particular solution is being delivered from the AWS cloud, taking advantage, especially with the DICOM, for the AHI capabilities in the DICOM world, and taking advantage of the S3 objects and the speed of delivery of those objects for our non-DICOM elements. I would encourage you, if you wanted to spend some time with us, we could talk about some other patients, some other uses. I will take the time to say that we are also available in our booth after the presentation